Hello, I'm Windia Dieudonne, today's host for Community Corner. I have with me Eric Alter. Eric is a playwright, screenwriter, and published poet residing in West Orange, New Jersey. He has written over 100 plays, and he actually just told me it is 101 now. Some of his plays have been produced and read throughout the country. He is the founder and executive producer of Apricot Sky Productions, a theater and film-based company in Montclair, New Jersey. Mr. Alter has written a screenplay entitled Exit 7, which is currently being developed in Los Angeles. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
While not writing, Mr. Alter works as a director of the Deron School in Montclair, New Jersey, with children who are learning disabled. Eric Alter, thank you for being my guest.
Thanks for having
today.
me.
Sure. I just mentioned some of the things that you've accomplished as far as being a writer, but before I go into that, I really would like to talk about your position at the Deron School. I understand there's a special story behind that. Please tell me a little bit more about that position and the history behind the school.
Sure. Well, the schools were founded by my parents 44 years ago. My mom's first name is Diane, and my dad's first name is Ron. But my mom's nickname in college was Dee, so they combined the names Deron, and that's how they got the name.
Okay.
So the school's been around for 44 years, and it first started out as a school for the deaf and the blind with one student. And it started in Orange, in a little church in Orange, and then gradually it moved from place to place. We never really had a home base for a long time, and we were actually in South Orange for a while at the Montrose School, or the old Montrose School. Yeah. And I've been working there ever since I graduated college, which is 1993, and gradually sort of worked my way up in the ranks and became the director of the school.
Okay. Are your parents still involved with the school?
They're kind of semi-retired, although they still are there. They spend some more time down south in Florida for the winters. They don't like the cold weather. So.
No one does, including me.
Especially here.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned they started off with one student, and how are you guys doing now?
We have two schools. One is in Montclair, and the other's in Union, and it's the high school is in Montclair, and the lower school is in Union. And each school has, I would say, the Montclair school has about 140 students, and the Union school probably has about 110, 115 students.
Okay, great. So now, the reason that I said I wanted to talk about that first, because I noticed some of your work, you focus a lot with the youth. So is there a connection between that as far as your writing and in the school?
I think, on some level there probably is. I've written a lot of plays about the youth and high school and middle school and those kind of experiences. I'm around those kinds of kids every day, so I get a sort of a first earshot feel of what kind of issues the kids are struggling with each day, from teenage angst over girls and boys and suicidal thoughts and different kinds of things. So I find it, I don't want to say easy to write about those things, but it's something that I can sort of relate to because obviously I went through, being a teenager and those kinds of things. So.
And plus you're around it. Okay.
Correct,
okay.
Right, correct.
One of the plays that I read about, correct me if I'm wrong, the bully of
Barksdale
Street, right?
Mm-hmm.
It talks about bullying, just some of the experiences that young adults go through. And I'm not sure if you're aware, well, a lot of people are aware. Right now, there's a lot of controversy when it comes to bullying and kids who are committing suicide because of that. Tell me a little bit about that play and just relating to now what's going on.
Sure. It's ironic. I wrote the play a couple of years ago. I'm trying to remember the year that I wrote it, maybe 5-6 years ago, when I think bullying was obviously always been a problem, but it's become more prevalent of a problem
Yes.
in the last couple of years with things that have gone on. And the play is just about two friends who, one of them is being constantly bullied, and his friend sort of comes to his aid and pretends that he's actually bullying him to make the big bully go away.
Okay.
And he stands up to the bully. So I was pretty lucky with that play. I wrote that play and I sent it off to a play. I sent it off to a magazine called Plays, which is a drama magazine for young people based out of Massachusetts, and they put Plays magazine throughout the country. You can buy them as a school or an individual subscriber. And then what happened was there was a textbook that I guess got a hold of that play,
Okay.
and they really liked it, and they wanted to publish that play. So that play's actually in Plays magazine,
Okay.
and then it's in a national textbook called Glencoe Reading for a Purpose. So that was a pretty big accomplishment for me. I never
That
thought
was.
I'd be in a textbook. So.
Well, that was a
You
very
know.
big accomplishment. Congratulations
Thank you.
again. And just looking over your website and reading some of the things that you've accomplished, it seems like a lot of your plays or a lot of the stories that you've written, there's really I mean, of course, every play has a story behind it, but it seems like you focus on a lot of the issues that
Mm-hmm.
are going on. There's one about domestic violence,
Mhm, yeah.
and I think you had you created that one for charity work, or
Mhm.
maybe you did some donations with the money you raised on that.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, my company, we decided to do a show. We've done a couple of charity shows. We did a charity show in the year 2001, right after the September 11th attacks. We sort of came together. We said we're going to do a staged reading and donate all the proceeds that we get to the victims of, the terrorist attacks through the American Red Cross. And then a couple of years later, I got involved with an organization called the Safe House, which is in Bloomfield. They're based out of Bloomfield, and it's it's a safe place for victims of domestic violence.
Okay.
So one of the plays that I wrote is called Rewind, and it's about domestic violence. And that was one show in a night of about 6 sort of one-act plays, they're called. Each play is about 15, 20, 25 minutes. And we took a portion of the money that we raised and we gave it all to the Safe House. I think we raised over like $1,000. So that was really nice.
It was very impressive.
Yeah.
And there was another fundraiser you had. This one was for cancer awareness.
Cancer, right. We did a show, I believe it was 2009. We raised over $1,000 for just a night. We called it Night Knockout. Again, it was like six plays, and all the proceeds went to cancer, finding a cure for cancer. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Should we look forward to any more charity work that you'll be working on?
Yeah, I mean, we as as the company, we have meetings and we talk about things that we want to do, and I think it's important, as you reach a certain point or in your career and in your life to always give back to the community and to raise money for different causes. So I'm toying with a few things in my head about maybe having like a 24-hour play-a-thon that would
Okay.
go for 24 hours and
Okay.
raise the money to, maybe autism or something like that. We haven't figured it out. I mean, unfortunately, there's so many different causes that you can give to.
Target.
So,
Yeah,
right,
I definitely
so.
agree. Now, you mentioned you graduated in '93, I think. And you're
I
already
graduated from college in
College.
'93, high school in 1988. Don't make me older than I am.
No, not at all. And you're already getting ready to give back. And not that there should be a time period where you should be giving back, but I would just assume that, you would still be working on trying to build your career. So why is it so important for you to give back now? Because normally some people, they wait later on till they're fully established before they start even thinking about giving back.
Right. I mean, I'm a product of Maplewood and South Orange, and I think I'm a pretty real person. And
Okay.
I always said if I ever got to a certain level, which I don't know what that level is, but that it's important that you give back to, and you don't forget your roots. You don't
Right.
forget where you came from, and I'd like to see people younger than me and the younger generation get into writing and creative writing and all those kinds of things. So I think it's important to get back,
Absolutely. And okay, so one of the things you just mentioned, you think that it's important for young people to get involved in writing. I believe you teach classes on writing, or your company, if not you directly, your company teach classes.
We have play on our website. There's a place you can go. It's called professional classes or something. We're starting an acting class and a playwriting class, which is an introductory playwriting class, like a playwriting 101 that I would be teaching, and we've already had some interest in it. And people can check out the website. As soon as we get 8 or 9 people interested, we'll run a class that'll probably run for about 10 weeks and just teach you the basics of writing a play, which could be 1 page, 10 pages, or 150 pages. So
how do you teach someone how to write a play, though? Because I've always heard that it has to be in you. So how do you go about teaching? I mean, anyone can go ahead and say, hey, Eric, I hear that you're offering these classes. How would you go about teaching me? Because like I said, I've always heard that it has to be something in you. It's either you have it or you don't. Do you believe that?
Yes and no. I mean, I'm sort of a self-taught writer. I took a couple of classes here and there, but really the way that I learned how to write plays was by reading plays and going to see some things. And I guess the beauty of theater is it's not like any other medium at all. So in theater, you can snap your fingers and you can be in a different location on stage, but just by dialogue, you can be at a different place. So you don't need all these elaborate, sets and like they do in movies and things like that. So, but I think if you're passionate about something, if you said to me, I want to write a play about, my mother or my father or my upbringing, I think it's certainly doable, and I think that's where you get it from having it in you, is that you're passionate about something. So that's where it comes from. People generally have a passion about a topic that they want to discuss or write about, and then from there it sort of builds. I could help you with the structure of it. Every book, play, novel, song, any thing in the arts has a certain structure to it. With a play, almost like any story, you have to have a beginning and a middle and an end, and that's how we would move you along.
So really you're teaching the structure, but the passion and the desire, it really comes within the person. And obviously, if you want to write a play and it's something that you've been dreaming about, then that passion was already within you. So you're only kind of guiding them a little bit.
I think so. I mean, I think you have to be part of the journey. I could, you can lead the horse to water, but, some people, they sit in front of their computer and their typewriter and they are really passionate about something, but then after a couple of days, like, oh, I can't do this. And I think if you're really, really passionate about you'll stick with it.
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. Well, again, my name is Windia Dieudonne. I am your host today for Community Corners. We'll be right back.
It's so easy to get caught up in the rush of things. Managing school, your job, and your friends can be a full-time task, especially when you're starting to drive. But the one thing teenagers don't understand is that combining the two means dangerous driving, not only to you, but to the others around you. Don't drive dangerously.
Hello, and we're back. My name is Windia Dieudonne, and you're watching Community Corner. Tonight I have with me, do that again?
You can just start it.
Okay.
No editing yourself out. You got to pop through.
Okay.
Anytime.
All right, and we're back. Again, my name is Windia Dieudonne, today's host for Community Corner. I have with me here Eric Alter. Before we left, we were talking about the passion that is within you and how you can teach someone how to structure a play, but you cannot really build that thing that they're supposed to have within them. When did you realize that you had that passion for writing?
That's a great question. I think when I got out of college and I had always been into movies. I was always a movie seer. I always wanted to go to the movies. Always wanted to tell stories. Had no idea how to tell a story. And then I got into, I bought a book on screenwriting, and it looked like it was like, reading Chinese. I was like, I'll never be able to do this. But, slowly but surely, that passion that you talk about to tell a story came out, and I said, I started to formulate some stories in my head and put them on paper, and kind of stuck with it. I had a lot of rejection letters and things like that. You have to have thick skin, but if you really are passionate about something, it really doesn't matter. If you write a play or a novel or a script,
Whatever it is, yeah.
and somebody doesn't like it, as long as you like it, that's all that matters. I mean, you've seen bad movies, right? So.
Seen bad, seen good ones.
Right, exactly.
That's funny you said rejection. That was one of my questions. How do you deal with rejection? Because now you have over 100 plays. So for you to get to that level, I'm sure you had to deal with a lot of rejections.
Sure. I mean, I still deal with the rejections. I mean, just because I've written 100 plays doesn't mean that if I send them out to somebody that they're going to like them. I have my drawer full of rejection letters.
You save them?
Oh yeah, I always save them. Yeah.
No, that's funny you said
do.
that. I save. I remember I was looking for work at one point, and every time I would get like a "thank you for applying, but sorry," I would save them, so that way when I finally did get a job, and instead of me complaining about how horrible the job was, I would go back and look at those rejection letters and to motivate myself to continue to go. So,
right.
So you save your rejection letters.
I think and I think there's two kinds of people. I think there's people that write or do whatever, and they get rejection letters, and they sort of just crawl into the
give up,
corner
yeah.
and say, that's not for me.
Yeah.
Or they say, well, I don't care what that person said. I'm going to forge
Continue.
on, right?
Yeah.
I still have tons of rejection letters. I still remember people that, basically said, oh, your plays are never going to go anywhere or whatever. But it's a nice vindication when you actually are published in a textbook, or
Yeah.
you have had stuff produced in New York City and those kinds of places. So
Yeah, and
it's
like
good.
I said earlier, one of your work is being done in LA right now.
Yeah, I actually wrote a screenplay. It's based on an incident that took place in New Jersey. Actually, it's based on a true story.
Okay.
And the screenplay is actually being developed right now by the Producers Guild. They have a workshop on diversity, and it was one of 5 out of about 300 scripts that were chosen to be sort of workshopped. And out there, along with my manager, I have a manager in Los Angeles, we're sort of going to work on it to try to change it around a little bit, and then you do what's called the package. You rewrite the script, and you sort of package it, and then you send it out to different companies throughout California and see if anybody wants to
Mix it up.
mix it up,
And you
pick it
got
up.
very lucky, and yours did.
Yeah, I mean, it was fortunate,
Yeah, yeah.
a lot of long hours. So
Yeah, I can imagine.
right.
Yeah. So, how do you sharpen your skills? How do you make sure that you stay sharp?
That's a great question. I mean, I always, it's hard because, I do a lot of other things, but, I write a lot. I try to write a lot.
What's a lot?
Well, I haven't written as much as I should have.
Okay.
But years ago, I was writing every day, every single day. I think if you want to be a great writer or a great basketball player or a great piano player or whatever you want to be great at, you have to continue to do it.
Every day.
And it's hard. Writing's a lonely existence. It's you and a computer screen, so it can be lonely, and it can be long hours, and it can be a lot of banging your head against the computer.
Trying to get something.
Writer's
there.
block, and you
Yeah.
go through that. You have to just try to fight through it. And there's been a bunch of plays that I've started that I haven't been able to finish, so I go on to something else. But sometimes that opens up the creative process. If you're writing about one topic and you can't finish it, or it just won't come to you, you're just like, oh, and then all of a sudden, like, it veers off into another
Yeah.
direction. You're like, oh,
Something
okay.
you wasn't even expecting.
Exactly.
Yeah, and just
yeah.
go with the flow.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so we talked about earlier about your passion to the youth, you being surrounded by the youth, so you're able to relate to them. And plus, it wasn't that long ago for you, like you said.
Just yesterday.
Just yesterday. So you're in the process of creating a scholarship, or maybe it's completed already? Tell me a little bit more
Sure.
about that.
My company, Apricot Sky Productions, what I want to do, and I've thought it through, just have to sort of implement it now, is we're going to start off with a playwriting competition in probably South Orange Middle School. That'd be because that's my little
That's
alma
where you're
mater,
from.
you know.
Okay, understandable.
And what it would be is each student would have the opportunity to write a short play, anywhere between 10 and 15 pages,
Okay.
about pretty much any topic, you know, unless, of course, nothing offensive and things like that.
Of course.
And each student would get to submit one play, and there'd be a time frame. It would probably be from January, say, until April, and they would submit the play, and then members of my company and myself would read through each play and ultimately come up with one winner of the play. And the winner would receive a $1,000 bond towards their education, and the winner would also receive a performance of the play at the middle school by my company.
So you guys will create the work.
Correct.
That is awesome.
And then probably what I'm really trying to do too is I have a very nice relationship with Plays Magazine, which is the magazine I was telling you about before. I've sold like 13 or 14 plays to them. What I'm trying to do is make it so the winning play gets published. So
Appear
we'll
on
see
the
about that.
magazine.
I have to work that a little bit, but
Yeah, but even the fact that this person is able to see their work being done,
Yeah.
that can also motivate them too to continue to keep
sure,
going.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where do we find more information about this? How would someone go about to apply? What
I'm gonna
qualifies someone?
anybody that wants to write would be qualified.
So
So,
there's
as
no
long as
age
you go
for
to as long as you go to South Orange Middle School, you'd be able to write a play. Okay.
So that means I'm disqualified.
You're
or
disqualified
all
by
that,
a
okay.
little bit, you know, by a year or two. No, I'm
Okay.
just kidding. But anybody that would go to the school that wanted to do it could certainly do it. I'd like to try to get it started for the fall. I think there's some, there's a process obviously that you'd have to go through. I think it'd have to be approved by the Board of Education and things like
course.
that. But I don't see any downside to it. I mean, the money's being put up by me
Yeah,
and my
yeah.
company, and I think it's promoting creative writing and the creative process. And I think it'd be pretty cool for the winner to have their play performed and
I
see.
think that would be an awesome opportunity.
Builds a lot of self-esteem and
Yeah.
things like that. So.
Especially being young at that age,
Mhm.
and to see your work being done. I mean, that's like the ultimate motivator right there.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
so that's really a cool idea. And what is the website where they can get this information? Where would they go?
They could go to my website right now. It's www.apricotskyproductions.com, and be putting some more information as we go through the process. I need to get in touch with the superintendent and attend a board meeting and sort of present it
Yeah.
to the town. Obviously, the principal and things like that.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good thing. I think it helps kids, open up their minds and become more creative, and they can learn that they could basically write a play about anything, and anything can be considered a play.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting. And hopefully it grows from there, and we can do it to more schools and, more.
Maybe like Maplewood.
Maplewood, maybe. I got to start off with my South Orange is where I went to
Fair
school,
enough.
So.
Fair enough.
So.
Awesome. So, what are you working on now? I understand you have a play coming up, right?
Yeah, I have a play. It's called Paint Me a Picture, and it'll be appearing next Friday night, Friday the 13th. It opens in Montclair at the Grove Street Theater, which is 130 Grove Street, Montclair. And it's a night of there's 6 one-act plays. Each play is anywhere between 15 and 25 minutes. I authored all the pieces, and I have 4 different directors, and there's a cast of 14 people who play different parts in different roles. So it's actually really nice for me as the writer, because I get to see 4 different people interpret my work.
Directing your work, I
Yes.
see.
So that's always a great thing for me.
Yeah, so how you envisioned it is not necessarily how they will put it together.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you a little bit
I,
nervous or iffy about that?
I used to be. I mean, I've been doing it for 11 years. So when I first started out, I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
how could you do that? How could you do this? But as you get older and you have more experience and you've seen things, your work produced, you realize that, just because you're the writer doesn't mean that you have the ultimate vision. I mean, if I wrote something, you might have a different vision of how it is too. And sometimes it's really neat to see someone else's interpretation
Of your work.
of the work.
Yeah,
So.
I'm happy you mentioned that, because I know some writers, when they get their work being created by the television companies or the networks, they're like, no, or even the film productions, they don't want it to be touched a certain way. It's like, no, this is how I wanted it, this is how I wrote it. So
Right.
you're not one of those people.
No, and it's interesting you say it, because in playwriting, oddly enough, the playwright is actually considered like a god. You can't change the
Yeah.
words of a playwright. But in film and in television, you can change the words.
Yeah.
So it's kind of good to be a playwright, because you sort of are the ultimate authority. But when you go to write scripts and TV shows, that can all be changed around. So
Okay. And you're open to those changes.
yeah, I'm open to it. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we don't have much time left.
Okay.
But before we go, if you would, any young person right now who's interested in doing what you're doing, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to go to the bookstore, go to the library, and start off. I mean, the way I started out was reading some one-act plays, which is just, a short play, anywhere between, it could be one page, but anywhere between 1 and, 30 to 45 pages. And I would have them read the play, learn the structure and the format of the play, and then try to see as much theater as you can. I mean, I know South Orange has some community theater. They got the Paper Mill
Milburn,
Playhouse.
yeah.
I mean, theater is anywhere. It can be anywhere. I mean, you can put on a production in your living room. I mean, if you really want to do it, you can do it anywhere.
In Columbia, I believe they built a new studio. Well, it's not new anymore, but when I was there, they didn't have it. So you're right, they have access to so many opportunities.
Get involved in school productions and things like that. Learn the craft of theater. I mean, it's not just, obviously being a writer is a piece of it, but there's lighting and there's sets and there's
Yeah.
sound and there's a whole bunch of things that go into theater. And then try to take some classes if you can, just to learn how to sort of open up your mind a little bit more and do some writing.
Good advice. It sounds like you're saying being prepared, educating yourself, and saving those rejection letters.
Sure, you gotta save the rejection letters, yes. It inspires you, I think.
It really does.
So,
I agree, really.
So.
Well, thank you very much,
Thank you.
Eric. Again, my name is Windia Dieudonne, and you're watching Community Corner. Please, Eric, can you give them the website again?
Sure, it's www.apricotskyproductions.com.
Okay. All right. Check them out.
Check it out.
All right. Thank you for watching.